everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to be explaining my top tips for the university side of teacher training. I've already made a video that explains my top tips for anyone who's on placement, and without further ado, let's get on with the video. So my first tip for anybody who is a university student doing teacher training is to make good notes from lectures and seminars. Now, of course, you don't intend to write bad notes, but here are 3 of my top tips for writing good notes. The first thing is, I went to a university where they provided the lecture slides about 24 hours in advance of the lecture or seminar, so I then printed them off and then I just wrote down everything additional they said during the lecture. This was really important to me as I found that other people were just copying down the lecture slides, and for me, I just decided that to me there wasn't any point in that, as I would write down extra things they were saying throughout their seminars. The next thing is to always write the date and the week you are in. So we had a university week system, and this just meant that if I needed to go back and find those lecture slides later, even though I printed them off, I might want them on my computer for some reason, then I could easily go back and find them. And sometimes on the PowerPoints, the lecturers would write in the notes section, which I didn't print off. I printed off each slide. So it meant I could have easy access to this, and it meant I wasn't trying to find out and work out which week and what date the seminar or lecture was, because I have written it at the top of every single page. Next up might be a little bit tricky due to COVID, but if you can, always attend the lecture or seminar live, as this is really important, as it will help ingrain the information better, and you can always ask any questions that you have there and then, as opposed to trying to catch up later. Tip number 2 is to use a reading reflection sheet. I will leave a blank version of my reading reflection sheet in the description box below, but this just has a summary of the reference, a summary of what the content was about, and any key points to do with that reading. Now, this made it much easier when I started doing my essays later down the line, as I would just be able to open up my folders for that module, and I would be able to have lots of different readings related to a certain subject area that I could skim through and pick out the key points that I then wanted to include in my essay. Similarly, you'll be probably set a preparation task, or at least on my course we were, a bit like homework really, where you had to read a certain book or a certain chapter of a book, and this made it really useful. Rather than having to just print out that section of the book or bring the whole book, I could just take my reflection sheet and then share them in this seminar, which meant it was much easier than having to try and skim read through the entire book then and there. As I said, I'll leave a link to this in the description box below. Tip number 3 is to make use of Uni Facilities. Actually go to the library and get out some books, or spend time studying there, and actually attend the writing classes. We had a study skills session that you could book on and attend, and if you're struggling with your writing, things like criticism or evaluation, go to those seminars. They will help make your writing better. Now, admittedly, I didn't use the library until second semester and first year, but I wish I'd gone soon. It was a perfect place to study and get some quiet, and also meant I had all the books that I needed all around me. But remember, now lots of books are online, so please don't bother wasting your time buying the books in preparation for uni, as at least with my course you probably won't need them. Tip number 4 is to start assignments early. Now, if you're anything like me, you might be an organised person, and I like to start my assignments about 6 weeks in advance of the deadline, just to start together some of my initial thoughts and ideas. And I have already written a blog post that explains how to write a university essay, so I'll leave that in the link description below, and you can read that to help you if you're struggling with your writing and how to structure your essay. And when you do come to writing your essay, make sure you do your references as you go along. Now, I have always done this throughout my university experience. I know some people have gone, oh yeah, I'll do them all at the end, I'll have time, but in my opinion, you won't have time. And although it seems like an extra task then, in that moment, you probably have the book open, you probably have an online version of the book ready. So whilst you are there and you have the book easily accessible, copy the reference and put it in your essay. What I used to do was make sure all my references were on there as I went along, and then at the end of writing the essay I would then put them in alphabetical order and check that they all made sense. But I would make sure I had the bulk of the reference copied and pasted, so it was ready to go for once I had finished the essay. Tip number 5 is to be organised. Now, this is sometimes easier said and done, but it's really important that you prioritise your goals and ensure that you have some sort of organisation system that works for you. Now, I have floated between writing it in my diary and now I use Google Calendar as a way to organise my life, but there are different ways and you just need to find the best strategy for you. I have made a video on how I use Google Calendar at university to help organise my assignments and schedules and things, so I'll leave a link to that video above and down below. And that was my final tip for anyone who is doing teacher training. Please go and watch my placement tips video. If you haven't already seen it, I will leave a link to that as well. And make sure you give this video a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.